really good right now?
What?
Nap.
Yeah, I agree. She's like, why are we talking about food when we can be talking about naps? Okay, here's just first question.
Miss, what's the peer date link? You didn't send it.
I just sent it twice. Don't listen. I'm just kidding. I just sent it again.
Yes.
I sent it again, Vinny. I'm just joking. You're great. What's up, Drea?
I'm having internet issues like in every class, just to let you know. Cause like I may leave and then join because I don't know, my computer's weird.
That's fine. As long as
Yes.
you're
Miss,
um
I still, Miss, I still haven't got the peer date. I don't see it.
I'll send it to you personally. Oh, maybe you'll get it that way. Let me send it to your like individual chat. Um Drea, it's fine. Just when we get to the exit ticket, um if I see you going in and out then I'll just exempt you.
Okay, thank you. But do we have a test today?
In this class?
Yes.
No.
Oh, it's because I saw the illuminate thing, like in the top.
I sent somebody the Illuminate link earlier, like, because they hadn't taken the test.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you mean like right here? Like on my screen?
No.
Oh,
Um, on the chat box.
oh yeah, I sent somebody the link. Or maybe it's just like old and it's not loading for you, or I don't know what. But no.
Probably.
All right, my correct answer right now is Fatima. And Yoli now too. Hi, Yoli. Oh, I have 3 wrong answers. All right, y'all. I'm gonna close this out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, the correct. Oh, look at y'all. The correct answer is B. B, to address a misconception about living alone. Misconception is like a mistake or a common error or like a misunderstanding. So what this person is trying to say is that people think that loneliness means to live alone, but that's not what that means. Let's see. I saw some people on C earlier. It does mention research, but it doesn't talk about being inconclusive. Inconclusive doesn't mean wrong. It means like it's not finished yet. Like it didn't come to any result. And D, yeah, D's wrong. Sorry. I couldn't explain that one, why that wasn't right. Okay, here's your next question. Oh, why did I lock your screen? There you go. All right, I have correct answers so far from Alice, Drea, Donna, Fatima, Jackie, and Vinny. Appealing choice means like that it's a tempting choice. Or like it's a choice that seems, God, how do you explain appealing without saying appealing? It's like an attractive choice, or there are benefits from the choice. All right, I'm gonna close this out in 5, 4. Ooh, people switched. Oh, hi, Adam. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I swear, Adam, I never see you in the lobby. I think you have magical powers to bypass. The correct answer is J. J. Those people got that right. G was the other one that I was tempted to pick because it says it's the biggest social change, which to me shows like it was appealing for many people because so many people have done it. But J more so describes why it is appealing, which is why it is the correct answer. All right, last question. All right, I have, let's see. Ooh, nothing but wrong. Oh, I have a right answer. Just Julian. Um, Julian's, oh, cool. Now 2, 3, you're getting friends. You left, Drea. Go back. You were right. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna close this off in 5, 4. Come on, Alize. Come on, Donna. Come on, Fatima. And 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. Correct answer is A. So B, he's not really providing an expert testimony. Like, expert testimony is like an experience. Like, if he was telling climbers, like, avoid this, the cliff or whatever, then maybe B. But he doesn't do that. C, acknowledging his experiences may have been rare. We can probably infer that, but he doesn't acknowledge it. Like, he doesn't talk about how this is rare compared to everything else. And D, an emotional appeal. Appeal means like an argument, and he's not advocating for anything to change. This is emotional, but he's not trying to change anything. The correct answer is that he's fondly describing his past experiences. Fondly means like you like something, like you look at it like warmly. And so he's fond of his experience there. He had a good time because he talks about how he got to make new friends, see the culture, be alone, like walk with his friends amongst candles. Like, he's just talking about the positive things. All right, y'all, our focus today is going to be characterization, and then we are going to be listening to chapter 6 of Animal Farm, which is my favorite days, our Animal Farm days. Okay, so characterization. The author can reveal things about characters' motivations, so why they do things, what is motivating them or driving them to do something. Attitudes or views, their beliefs, their conflicts, values, things they care about, or their personalities through the things that characters say, through the things that characters think. So, for example, like, we know Squealer is like a conniving little pig because of the things that he says. We know he lies all the time. Do you like my SpongeBob? Characterization instead of imagination. Thought it was good. Effects on others. Although Napoleon talks a big game and he might think he's a good guy, well, he's not a guy, he's a pig. We know that Napoleon is not a good guy because he scares other people, right? He has his dog army attacked all the time and they're intimidated by him. So we know he's not a good guy. Actions and then looks. Alrighty, recap of Animal Farm. There were 2 sort of head honcho pigs, Snowball and Napoleon. They never got along. Snowball wanted to build a windmill. Napoleon was like, nah, I don't like this windmill idea, so I'm going to pee on it. And so he peed on his idea, and then he had the dogs scare him away. And so Snowball is gone. We don't know where he is. We just know that he left. He ran through a hole in the fence, and we have not seen him. Napoleon is in charge, and so then he was like, psych, we're actually going to build that windmill. I just wanted to get rid of Snowball. And so now they are in the process. They are savage. Not like Meg the Stallion savage, just like mean. Anyways, and so, was that Meg the Stallion or was that Cardi? Whatever, maybe it was both. Anyways, so yeah, now we are in the process of them building the windmill, and Napoleon is fully in charge with his dog army and his sheep that will not shut up. Okay, I'm gonna pause this at 2 minutes so we can talk about what I have on this screen here. For now, go ahead and come over to my screen on Teams so that way we can do the audiobook. All right, here we go.
Chapter 6. All that year the animals worked like slaves, but they were happy in their work. They grudged no effort or sacrifice, well aware that everything that they did was for the benefit of themselves and those of their kind who would come after them, and not for a pack of idle, thieving human beings. Throughout the spring and summer, they worked a 60-hour week. And in August, Napoleon announced that there would be work on Sunday afternoons as well. This work was strictly voluntary, but any animal who absented himself from it would have his rations reduced by half. Even so, it was found necessary to leave certain tasks undone. The harvest was a little less successful than in the previous year, and 2 fields which should have been sown with roots in the early summer were not sown because the ploughing had not been completed early enough. It was possible to foresee that the coming winter would be a hard one. The windmill presented unexpected difficulties. There was a good quarry of limestone on the farm, and plenty of sand and cement had been found in one of the outhouses, so that all the materials for building were at hand. But the problem the animals could not at first solve was how to break up the stone into pieces of suitable size. There seemed no way of doing this except with picks and crowbars, which no animal could use because no animal could stand on his hind legs. Only after weeks of vain effort did the right idea occur to somebody, namely, to utilize the force of gravity. Huge boulders, far too big to be used as they were lying all over the bed of the quarry. The animals lashed ropes round these, and then all together, cows, horses, sheep, any animal that could lay hold of the rope, even the pigs sometimes joined in at critical moments, they dragged them with desperate slowness up the slope to the top of the quarry, where they were toppled over the edge to shatter to pieces below. Transporting the stone when it was once broken was comparatively simple. The horses carried it off in cartloads, the sheep dragged single blocks. Even Muriel and Benjamin yoked themselves into an old governess cart and did their share. By late summer, a sufficient store of stone had accumulated, and then the building began, under the superintendence of the pigs.
All right, I'm going to pause this here. You don't necessarily have to go back to the pear deck. I'm going to project it on my screen, so you can just stay on the same screen for now. All right. So on the start, they're going to ask you questions that are about characterization, right? What does this paragraph reveal about so-and-so character? What can we assume or infer about this character based off of this text? And so if I look at this paragraph where they're talking about how they all contribute to like breaking up the stone, if I look at these specific lines, even the pigs sometimes joined in at critical moments, what I can infer from that is that the pigs don't usually help, right? If the narrator is going to pause, like there are dashes there and everything, like he's going to pause and say even the pigs sometimes join, like he's surprised, then we can assume that they don't usually do that. They don't usually help. Okay. In a second, you're going to do the same thing. You are going to answer a question in the text box, but I'm going to wait for about another minute and a half, and then I will pause so that way you can answer this question. Let me go ahead and resume audiobook.
But it was a slow, laborious process. Frequently, it took a whole day of exhausting effort to drag a single boulder to the top of the quarry, and sometimes when it was pushed over the edge, it failed to break. Nothing could have been achieved without Boxer, whose strength seemed equal to that of all the rest of the animals put together. When the boulder began to slip and the animals cried out in despair at finding themselves dragged down the hill, it was always Boxer who strained himself against the rope and brought the boulder to a stop. To see him toiling up the slope inch by inch, his breath coming fast, the tips of his hoofs clawing at the ground, and his great sides matted with sweat, filled everyone with admiration. Clover warned him sometimes to be careful not to overstrain himself, but Boxer would never listen to her. His 2 slogans, "I will work harder," and "Napoleon is always right," seemed to him a sufficient answer to all problems. He had made arrangements with the cockerel to call him 3/4 of an hour earlier in the mornings instead of half an hour. And in his spare moments, of which there were not many nowadays, he would go alone to the quarry, collect a load of broken stone, and drag it down to the site of the windmill unassisted. The animals were not badly off throughout that summer, in spite of the hardness of their work. If they had no more food than they had had in Jones's day, at least they did not have less. The advantage of only having to feed themselves and not having to support 5 extravagant human beings as well was so great that it would have taken a lot of failures to outweigh it. And in many ways, the animal method of doing things was more efficient and saved labor.
All right, we're going to pause there. Go ahead, go back to your paragraph, and you are going to type in a text box. Go ahead and read that paragraph first, and then I'll talk to you more about what you are answering.
Miss, I can't type anything. Oh.
Yeah. All right, so what you are doing is you are filling in the blank of what is revealed about how they view the labor. What do they think of the labor? Do they think it's worth it? Do they think it's not worth it? Are they mad about it? Do they enjoy doing it? Do they think it is necessary? Just like describe how they view it. How do they think of, or how do they feel about all this work that they're having to do? No worries, Marilyn. You can try to research your computer, but just keep me posted. Alright, let's see. I got responses from Jackie, from Adam, from Vinny, from Julian, from Donna, from Fatima, and from Alize, waiting on 2 people with internet issues, so 3 people to respond. I'll give you guys 30 more seconds here to finish up your thoughts, and then I'll share some answers. Ignore my Keurig in the background.
Miss, my paradeck says we're having issues, and then it pops up like a red screen.
That's okay. Everything you need to see, you should be able to see on the team screen. So just look at my team screen. And then when we get to the exit ticket, just respond in the chat box. Okay, sweetie?
Okay.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and show responses here. Jackie's, Adams, and Vinny's. So Jackie and Adam say the same thing. They both think that it's worth it and more efficient, which is true. Jackie included some textual evidence here by saying saving time and the time spent on labor. Yeah. And then let's see. And then Vinny said the animals think it's better and it's worth working. Again, textual evidence because they're feeding themselves and not worrying about the 5 extravagant human beings. So they do think it's worth it. They think it's more efficient, but yet they still, they are tired. We know that they're tired. We know that it's hard on them, but right now they still feel hopeful that it is better. That will change. Okay. Next one. I'm going to pause this here in a couple more minutes. Let me reproject the audiobook.
Such jobs as weeding, for instance, could be done with a thoroughness impossible to human beings. And again, since no animal now stole, it was unnecessary to fence off pasture from arable land, which saved a lot of labor on the upkeep of hedges and gates. Nevertheless, as the summer wore on, various unforeseen shortages began to make themselves felt. There was need of paraffin oil, nails, string, dog biscuits, and iron for the horses' shoes, none of which could be produced on the farm. Later, there would also be need for seeds and artificial manures, besides various tools, and finally, the machinery for the windmill. How these were to be procured, no one was able to imagine. One Sunday morning, when the animals assembled to receive their orders, Napoleon announced that he had decided upon a new policy. From now onwards, Animal Farm would engage in trade with the neighboring farms. Not, of course, for any commercial purpose, but simply in order to obtain certain materials which were urgently necessary. The needs of the windmill must override everything else, he said. He was therefore making arrangements to sell a stack of hay and part of the current year's wheat crop, and later on, if more money were needed, it would have to be made up by the sale of eggs, for which there was always a market in Willingdon. The hens, said Napoleon, should welcome this sacrifice as their own special contribution towards the building of the windmill. Once again, the animals were conscious of a vague uneasiness. Never to have any dealings with human beings, never to engage in trade, never to make use of money. Had not these been among the earliest resolutions passed at that first triumphant meeting after Jones was expelled? All the animals remembered passing such resolutions, or at least they thought that they remembered it. The 4 young pigs who had protested when Napoleon abolished the meetings raised their voices timidly, but they were promptly silenced by a tremendous growling from the dogs. Then, as usual, the sheep broke into 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, and the momentary awkwardness was smoothed over. Finally, Napoleon raised his trotter for silence and announced that he had already made all the arrangements. There would be no need for any of the animals to come into contact with human beings, which would clearly be most undesirable. He intended to take the whole burden upon his own shoulders. A Mr. Whymper, a solicitor living in Willingdon, had agreed to act as intermediary between Animal Farm and the outside world, and would visit the farm every Monday morning to receive his instructions. Napoleon ended his speech with his usual cry of, "Long live Animal Farm!" And after the singing of Beasts of England, the animals were dismissed. Afterwards, Squealer made a round of the farm and set the animals' minds at rest. He assured them that the resolution against engaging in trade and using money had never been passed, or even suggested. It was pure imagination, probably traceable in the beginning to lies circulated by Snowball. A few animals still felt faintly doubtful, but Squealer asked them shrewdly, "Are you certain that this is not something that you have dreamed, comrades? Have you any record of such a resolution? Is it written down anywhere?" And since it was certainly true that nothing of the kind existed in writing, the animals were satisfied that they had been mistaken.
All right, y'all, we're going to pause there. Let's go ahead and go back to our prayer deck, and I will unlock your screens. And here you fill in the blank, and you're just describing Squealer. You can either state something that he believes, something that he is, like what his personality is like. You can characterize him, how he feels about others. Just make a statement about Squealer here. All right, I have Vinny typing, Julian, Jackie, Daniel, Alize, and Fatima all typing. Squealer is what? Ooh, I like that, Alize. Nobody has said that today yet. Some of y'all have Squealer messed up. Y'all think he's a great person. Yes, Julian, yes. Good, Vinny. Yeah, that is true. He is aware. Ooh, inquisitive. Thank you, Adam. Thank you. I'm going to give you guys 30 more seconds here to finish your thoughts. Then I'll show some answers. All right, I'm going to show some responses here. So let's see who said this. This was Julian. Squealer seems to be Napoleon's right-hand man and right-hand pig, and is willing to lie to the animals in order for Napoleon to receive greater commemoration. So he is Napoleon's lackey, and that is 100% correct, and that he is willing to lie. He knows, because he can read and the other pigs can read, that they wrote that there was no trade allowed there on the with humans, right? But yet he is lying. And to Alizé's point here, he is lying because he is scared. He is scared that if the animals know that they are going against the rules that they had set in the beginning, that they may not trust them anymore. And at the same time is being judgmental because he thinks the animals are stupid enough to believe him. And he's evil. He's manipulative, right? He knows he's tricking them. And let's see, somebody in my last class said that he was a big lying piece of bacon, which I thought was funny. Okay, these next questions will be your exit ticket. I'm going to pause them when we get there like I usually do. I'll lock them for now, and I'm going to bring us back. So, Drea, for these, you'll just put the letter in the chat box when we get to that question, okay? So I'm going to pause us in a couple more minutes here. Go ahead, come back to the audiobook. And here we go.
Every Monday, Mr. Whymper visited the farm as had been arranged. He was a sly-looking little man with side whiskers, a solicitor in a very small way of business, but sharp enough to have realized earlier than anyone else that Animal Farm would need a broker and that the commissions would be worth having. The animals watched his coming and going with a kind of dread and avoided him as much as possible. Nevertheless, the sight of Napoleon on all fours delivering orders to Whymper, who stood on two legs, roused their pride and partly reconciled them to the new arrangement. Their relations with the human race were now not quite the same as they had been before. The human beings did not hate Animal Farm any less now that it was prospering. Indeed, they hated it more than ever. Every human being held it as an article of faith that the farm would go bankrupt sooner or later, and, above all, that the windmill would be a failure. They would meet in the public houses and prove to one another by means of diagrams that the windmill was bound to fall down, or that if it did stand up, then that it would never work. And yet, against their will, they had developed a certain respect for the efficiency with which the animals were managing their own affairs. One symptom of this was that they had begun to call Animal Farm by its proper name and ceased to pretend that it was called the Manor Farm. They had also dropped their championship of Jones, who had given up hope of getting his farm back and gone to live in another part of the county. Except through Whymper, there was as yet no contact between Animal Farm and the outside world. But there were constant rumors that Napoleon was about to enter into a definite business agreement, either with Mr. Pilkington of Foxwood or with Mr. Frederick of Pinchfield. But never, it was noticed, with both simultaneously. It was about this time that the pigs suddenly moved into the farmhouse and took up their residence there. Again, the animals seemed to remember that a resolution against this had been passed in the early days. And again, Squealer was able to convince them that this was not the case. It was absolutely necessary, he said, that the pigs, who were the brains of the farm, should have a quiet place to work in. It was also more suited to the dignity of the leader, for of late he had taken to speaking of Napoleon under the title of leader, to live in a house than in a mere sty.
All right, y'all, go ahead, come back to the Pear Deck here, and here's your first exit ticket question. Be very careful that you are choosing the answer that is revealed by this paragraph. Erase any context in your brain from the rest of the book except for this paragraph. There are other things here that are true, but not exactly shown from this paragraph. All right, my answers so far are from Alice, Drea, Daniel, Fatima, Jackie, Julian, and Melanie. I'm going to close this out in 5, 4.
No, wait, wait. My prayer deck's acting up. Give me un momento.
Okay.
Do you see my answer though?
No, you can just see it in the chat box.
Okay. Oops, you didn't hear that.
They sound cute. I don't know if that's the TV or a little sibling, but they're adorable.
Yeah, that's sibling. You can move on though.
Okay. You told me not to. Okay, here we go. The correct answer, I might get yelled at. Let's see who might yell at me. Yeah, I know who's gonna yell at me. It's gonna be Adam. But anyways, the correct answer is D. It's D. Reason being, and I've just realized that maybe it can be argued for C. It does say there is a line that says again, Squealer was able to convince them. That shows that the convincing was successful, but it doesn't necessarily show that they believe that it's always gonna work. D though is very much more blatantly stated. It was absolutely necessary, said the pigs, because we know they're saying this, that they are the brains and therefore they should have a quiet place to work. Okay, I'm going to pause this again in about 3 minutes so we can answer the second question. Go ahead and come back to the team screen so I can project the audiobook, and here we go.
Nevertheless, some of the animals were disturbed when they heard that the pigs not only took their meals in the kitchen and used the drawing room as a recreation room, but also slept in the beds. Boxer passed it off as usual with, "Napoleon is always right." But Clover, who thought she remembered a definite ruling against beds, went to the end of the barn and tried to puzzle out the 7 commandments which were inscribed there. Finding herself unable to read more than individual letters, she fetched Muriel. "Muriel," she said, "read me the 4th commandment. Does it not say something about never sleeping in a bed?" With some difficulty, Muriel spelt it out. "It says, 'No animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets,'" she announced finally. Curiously enough, Clover had not remembered that the 4th commandment mentioned sheets, but as it was there on the wall, it must have done so. And Squealer, who happened to be passing at this moment, attended by 2 or 3 dogs, was able to put the whole matter in its proper perspective. "You have heard then, comrades," he said, "that we pigs now sleep in the beds of the farmhouse. And why not? You did not suppose, surely, that there was ever a ruling against beds. A bed merely means a place to sleep in. A pile of straw in a stall is a bed, properly regarded. The rule was against sheets, which are a human invention. We have removed the sheets from the farmhouse beds and sleep between blankets. And very comfortable beds they are, too. But not more comfortable than we need, I can tell you, comrades, with all the brain work we have to do nowadays. You would not rob us of our repose, would you, comrades? You would not have us too tired to carry out our duties. Surely none of you wishes to see Jones back." The animals reassured him on this point immediately, and no more was said about the pigs sleeping in the farmhouse beds. And when, some days afterwards, it was announced that from now on the pigs would get up an hour later in the mornings than the other animals, no complaint was made about that either.
Alright, y'all, let's come back to our pair deck. Marilyn, sweetie, you can just chat me the answer either in the group chat box or in the, you can individual chat me too. Alright, here's your question. Make sure you're choosing the answer here that shows that this behavior will continue, is likely to continue. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and close this out in about 10 seconds. Marilyn, just chat me your answer, love. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, come on Gabriel, come on Melanie, 1, wah wah. All right, y'all. Correct answer is, look at y'all. C. C. That's you chose B. Shame. I'm just kidding. I like you. Okay. um, B does show that they were able to get the special privileges, but C shows us that they will probably continue to, right? Because they've already gotten special privileges about the farmhouse, about the beds. They can use whatever rooms they want. And then this last part says, and then after that, they were also allowed to get up an hour later. So that shows you, like, in addition to these other things, they were able to get one more thing, and so they're probably going to keep doing that. All right. I'm going to go ahead and play us out until the end on the audiobook here just to save time, and then we'll answer the last 2 questions. Audiobook, where'd you go? ¿Dónde estás? There you are.
By the autumn, the animals were tired but happy. They had had a hard year, and after the sale of part of the hay and corn, the stores of food for the winter were none too plentiful. But the windmill compensated for everything. It was almost half built now. After the harvest, there was a stretch of clear, dry weather, and the animals toiled harder than ever, thinking it well worthwhile to plod to and fro all day with blocks of stone, if by doing so they could raise the walls another foot. Boxer would even come out at nights and work for an hour or 2 on his own by the light of the harvest moon. In their spare moments, the animals would walk round and round the half-finished mill, admiring the strength and perpendicularity of its walls, and marveling that they should ever have been able to build anything so imposing. Only old Benjamin refused to grow enthusiastic about the windmill, though, as usual, he would utter nothing beyond the cryptic remark that donkeys live a long time. November came, with raging southwest winds. Building had to stop because it was now too wet to mix the cement. Finally, there came a night when the gale was so violent that the farm buildings rocked on their foundations and several tiles were blown off the roof of the barn. The hens woke up squawking with terror because they had all dreamed simultaneously of hearing a gun go off in the distance. In the morning, the animals came out of their stalls to find that the flagstaff had been blown down and an elm tree at the foot of the orchard had been plucked up like a radish. They had just noticed this when a cry of despair broke from every animal's throat. A terrible sight had met their eyes. The windmill was in ruins. With one accord, they dashed down to the spot. Napoleon, who seldom moved out of a walk, raced ahead of them all. Yes, there it lay, the fruit of all their struggles, leveled to its foundations, the stones they had broken and carried so laboriously scattered all around. Unable at first to speak, they stood gazing mournfully at the litter of fallen stone. Napoleon paced to and fro in silence, occasionally snuffing at the ground. His tail had grown rigid and twitched sharply from side to side, a sign in him of intense mental activity. Suddenly he halted, as though his mind were made up. "Comrades," he said quietly, "do you know who is responsible for this? Do you know the enemy who has come in the night and overthrown our windmill? Snowball!" He suddenly roared in a voice of thunder. "Snowball has done this thing. In sheer malignity, thinking to set back our plans and avenge himself for his ignominious expulsion, this traitor has crept here under cover of night and destroyed our work of nearly a year. Comrades, here and now I pronounce the death sentence upon Snowball. Animal hero second class, and half a bushel of apples to any animal who brings him to justice. A full bushel to anyone who captures him alive." The animals were shocked beyond measure to learn that even Snowball could be guilty of such an action. There was a cry of indignation, and everyone began thinking out ways of catching Snowball if he should ever come back. Almost immediately, the footprints of a pig were discovered in the grass at a little distance from the knoll. They could only be traced for a few yards, but appeared to lead to a hole in the hedge. Napoleon snuffed deeply at them and pronounced them to be Snowball's. He gave it as his opinion that Snowball had probably come from the direction of Foxwood Farm. "No more delays, comrades," cried Napoleon when the footprints had been examined. "There is work to be done. This very morning we begin rebuilding the windmill, and we will build all through the winter, rain or shine. We will teach this miserable traitor that he cannot undo our work so easily. Remember, comrades, there must be no alteration in our plans. They shall be carried out to the day. Forward, comrades! Long live the windmill! Long live Animal Farm!"
Long live Animal Farm. Can y'all believe them? Death sentence to Snowball. The man did not do anything wrong. They stole his ideas and now they have sentenced him to death. Anyways.
That's so sad.
I know! And everybody, yeah. Okay. Anyways, I was gonna say something, but it'll give away one of the answers later, so I'm not going to. Alright, y'all, your pear deck is open. Let me project the question. And there you go. So one more question after this. After this paragraph is when he lies on Snowball. So this paragraph is showing, like, why did he lie? Alright, so far I have answers from Yoli, Jackie, Drea, Daniel, Donna, Fatima, and Julian. The only correct answer I have right now, I don't know what has gotten into y'all. I don't know what kind of water you're drinking, but the only correct answer I have right now is Yoli. I'm kidding, I still love y'all, but I don't understand why you're choosing that answer. Alright, I'm waiting on 6 more. Alright, I'm gonna close this out in 10. Everything is falling down, Horacio.
Is mine right, miss?
Yes. 10, 9, 8, Gabriel, Adam, Melanie, Alize. Just, you can put it, yeah, just put it on the desk behind you, sweetie. 5, 4, 3, 2, Adam, ¿dónde estás? Vinny, where are you? Gabriel, 1. They left. IRP. Okay. Correct answer is A. There is nothing in here about like him hating Snowball. After that, the paragraph after that, we can say he hates Snowball there, but not in this paragraph. There's nothing in these paragraphs about the other pigs pressuring him. That doesn't even mention pigs. And it doesn't talk about like any of his goals for the windmill. The only thing it talks about is how the animals are all standing there. You only lose like 2 points for a wrong answer. So you're good on it. It's about effort. Like the lowest you can get on a pear deck is 80 if you do it. If you do it the whole time. Okay, so all the animals are sitting there. It says they are mournfully gazing at the litter of fallen stone. Got you, Vinny. Thank you for letting me know. So they're looking at like everything that they've tried to build and it's just broken in front of them. And so Napoleon sees how sad they are and he starts freaking out. It's like, I gotta do something. And so what he does is he distracts them and gives them hope, right? The reason that the windmill broke was because of the weather, right? But if they know that, then they're probably not gonna want to rebuild it because the weather is always gonna be unpredictable. But if they think it broke because Snowball came and attacked it, then they think that they can avoid this happening again. So he tricks them so that way they can continue to be motivated to build the windmill. All right, last question here. Dilemma means like problem. All right, I have answers from Yoli, Adam, Donna, Gabriel, Jackie, Drea, and Vinny. My correct answers right now, some of you had them right and you moved. My correct answers right now are Adam, Donna, and Gabriel. And I'm going to close this out in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh no. Correct answer is C. C. They have
Go
not
back, Miss.
they have not given up on Napoleon. They are starting to question him, but they have not yet completely abandoned belief in him. D. They do betray their former leader. They go along with Napoleon's plan to start coming up with ways to capture Snowball and believe in his death sentence. They back him completely. And B. They aren't angry. They're starting to question it, but they aren't angry about the distribution of work. We're angry, but they aren't angry yet. The only thing that is true here is that they must restart this project of the windmill that they were already working too hard to build. Oh, uh-oh. All right, y'all, that is all I have for you. Finished on time. I will see you guys tomorrow, and you guys have a great day until I see you tomorrow. Goodbye, friends.
Yeah.
Bye, Miss.
Bye, Alize. Bye, Donna. I appreciate the ninja face. Jackie, why are you sad? Bye, Jackie. All right. Goodbye, Mr. Gabriel. Okay, you're not going to talk to me today?
Goodbye, Miss.
Thank you. Bye, Gabriel.